Welcome to the Artificer tutorial videos. In these videos I shall show you how Artificer works and how you can use it to improve your project. This first video I will cover just some of the basics to get you started. So here we have a tank made up of different objects which you can select. If we want to split it up, we can add the Artificer object. Your meshes might not be readable, but we can make them readable by clicking this button. And then you just need to build the data. And when that's done, you can play the scene and see your tank assemble and then dismantle. In the split options area, we can say exclude objects if you don't want them to be part of the build. So let's select the turret, click rebuild, and press play, and you'll see the turret is excluded from the build process. Let's just remove that again. You can change the order in which things appear by adjusting the sort origin. So if we just move that to the front of the tank, for example, and click rebuild, and then press play, you'll see that the tank now builds from the front back. If we just go and change the origin to the back of the tank and rebuild, press play, it will now build from the back. So you have complete control over the order. Let's just do another one. Let's build it from the top this time, move it up there, rebuild, press play, and now magically the tank builds from the top. If you want to, you can reverse the sort order. Click rebuild, press play, and instead of from the top, it will now build from the bottom up. You can choose the sort order, so either by position or by material, position and material, or material and position. They will change the order slightly depending on how many materials you have, or fully random. You can also sort by the closest point on any element on the mesh, on the furthest or on the center, which will subtly change the order that it builds in depending on how big your elements are. If you choose material sort, then you can set the order of the materials. In the material sort order, you can also say how the elements are going to be made, purely by the mesh elements or by the materials. You can also then just say use just the vertex positions, or UVs, UV2s, normal colors, materials, lots of control over how it gets built. If we do it by faces, like we just click there, you'll see that the build count went up, and then when it builds it has lots more objects that it can build with, so you've got total control over the complexity of the build and the dismantles. You can use colors or vertex colors to define areas, so you can customize your models to explode how you want them, or you can just let Artificer do it all for you. If we build this tank, you'll see that we can see through the sides of the tank because we've got single-sided materials. So if we come down here and come down to material remap, we can click on this little button select materials being used for the side of the tank, and we can remap that to another material that has back faces turned on. So rebuild that. Now if we assemble, dismantle the tank, you'll see that we can see the inside of the tank. So you've got control over what material that is, obviously. So you can substitute any materials during the build and the disassembly. It is possible that you don't want the whole object to build in the same way. So in Artificer you're able to select any object and click split params, and we can have different parts of the object build in different ways. So we're going to collect the turret and the gun, which is a child of the turret, and let's have the turret appear vertically down, have it bounce onto the tank rather than as it is now radially appearing in. So we come down here, dismantle that and assemble. The turret now bounces down while the rest of the tank builds radially. We'll do some more videos which will show the various build options, plenty of them, should have you covered for any project. We can tell it to show the various elements that are making up the build, and so that's a single option, and it shows you the path and the direction in which it will build in. That line is the path in which the object will appear. We can have a whole range showing all the objects, so you can see any particular part of the tank and how it will be built. So you can, this is useful for later on if you want to define different objects and events or build parameters, which we'll see in later videos. The place value will show how the objects will appear. See the turret gun coming in there. As you can see, we also have a helper window which allows you to control and test the animations before you build it. Pause it, step through it by multiple frames, adjust the speed in which it builds, which is helpful just for testing how it's going to look before you commit. Makes it a lot easier. Another option to control the build order is to use a spline. So we have a greenhouse here, for example, which is building from a box and it's building radially out. But you might, in this example, want to build around the edge. So let that finish, and then we dismantle that. So now we can have a spline, and as you'll see, we have a little spline around the edge, which roughly matches the outline of the greenhouse. And if we click rebuild and assemble, you'll see it now builds from the box, but builds around the outside of the greenhouse, basically following the spline. You can control the bias from the distance from the spline or the distance along the spline, which will give you different builds effect. So let's just do that and rebuild. And now you can see it assembling slightly differently, and now it's tending to build the bottom level and then it comes back later and it fills the top section. So you've got total control over how that. You can have fun experimenting with that and just get all sorts of different effects. We touched on it before, but as you can see, we also have a Artificer control window, which gives you lots of control over testing the animations easily without having to build the game. So you can see the results of the settings quickly. So you can assemble it, pause, frame by frame, multiple frames, change the playback speed, Zoom gives you lots of control over testing all your animations to make sure they're just right before you commit them to the game. Okay, I think that covers it for this first introduction video, so stay tuned. There's going to be more videos to come which are going to highlight all the rest of the features that are in this new asset. I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to doing some more videos.